Thank you. Hello, everyone. Those who missed my very exciting pre-opening, uh, hello again. I'm Rakib I'm with the Social Innovation Lab at BRAC. It's a tough act to follow Dr. Deboprio with presentations and insights, so I'll keep my discussion pretty much grounded to youth-first, youth-led model that BRAC has been testing out over the last 6 months. And we'll go a little deeper into the learnings that we have generated, the things that we are seeing on the ground, sort of working with young people. So as Asif also mentioned previously, this network is called Amra Notun. So that means we are new. So the idea is about new thinking, new aspirations, building new skill set for young people. So before I go about the solution, a bit of context. We have all covered, the previous speakers have all quite eloquently covered the sort of youth bulge in Bangladesh, the challenges that we are seeing. Just to put things in context, one part of fact, 48% of Bangladesh was born after 1992. In addition to making making someone feel really old, this also sort of gives you an idea that the tremendous potential that young people have and the huge number of young people that we have in here. But what we are seeing right now is that it's a formidable number, but we are sort of marred with issues of unemployment, underemployment, skills gap. The industry, they are looking for skilled people, but when young people are approaching them for opportunities, they want to start new things as entrepreneurs, we are seeing there is a skills gap. So how do we ensure that? How do we ensure that that doesn't happen? In addition to that, we are also seeing that something which is a common phenomenon in Bangladesh, and I believe in other countries as well, that most of the youth initiatives are very much centered towards capital cities, towards a few hubs within the country. So young people who are spread out quite evenly across the country, they're not getting enough opportunities in their localities. They're not seeing enough role models in their communities, and role models who would give them guidance, who would mentor them. So these opportunities are not adequately spread out across the country, and that we are seeing in Bangladesh. It's very much focused towards Dhaka, the capital city. So our solution to this was, how do we create an inclusive platform for young people to create active, enlightened, skillful citizens, where they could build their own network of local role models, local change makers, and help each others out in terms of bringing change within their community. So we thought of creating a sort of platform for young people where they could connect together, they could learn different skills, and they could connect with the larger sort of young people's network that we are trying to create. So that we are calling the Amra Notun Network, the Change Makers Hub that we are creating. So our goals are, as it's listed in here, and we've talked about this, in creating enlightened citizens for tomorrow. We want to create a pool of local mentors who would be available for young people to sort of guide them, to help them in their sort of personal life and professional life, to equip young people with critical 21st century skill sets so that they're more prepared to make the next step in their lives, whether it be seeking employment opportunities of their choice or starting their own initiatives, promoting entrepreneurship, so making those skills available, and to support young people in making informed career choices. So just very briefly, how we actually go ahead and deliver that. So it starts with recruiting 30 youngsters in the districts where we are working in right now. So it's been 6 months. We started in the southern part of the country in Khulna, and now we are expanding our network in other areas of Bangladesh as well, Rangpur and Dhaka to be specific. So it starts with recruiting 30 young people for each circle. We then sort of engage them over 4 weeks and deliver different sort of skills related to 21st century sort of applicability for 4 weeks, about 8 sessions. Then what they learn in those sessions, we try to test that learning. We sort of encourage them to take up community projects of choice, a problem that they would want to solve in their community. It could be something very small like keeping your community clean, doing a cleanliness drive or tree plantation drive, or there are different examples of how people are sort of doing these community projects. So applying what they have learned in the classroom sessions, then tagging them with local mentors so that they're supported in their activities. So first the learning opportunity, then application on the ground, and then they're connected with local mentors to support them and track their progress and award them and recognize them for their work. And the idea is basically to create a network of change makers who would solve these problems, who would have the empathy to solve local problems and would have the skill set. And the idea is if that network is expanded across the country, then young people would have relatable role models to look up to, something which can have a very strong influence in the lives of people, especially when they're growing up. So in terms of delivering it, we tried to took as much of an experimental mindset as possible. So we didn't want it to be another typical development project, 5 years planned. These are the indicators, this many classes have to be delivered regardless of the result. So we went for a lean approach, followed the lean principles of implementation in here. So we started with the initial assumption that young people would need a platform to engage, but then we tested out our assumptions on the ground. We reached out across the country. We talked to young people, youth groups, organizations, parents, universities. We tried to understand what are some of the problems and tested our assumptions based on that. Then we went ahead with a very minimal viable product-ish version of our sort of overall model. So we didn't wait to plan to get a lot of budget and then roll it out. So we went ahead with these mini sessions that we wanted to test out in different universities with different young groups. We got good results. We got even more better understanding of what the young people would need. Then we added on the community project initiative. We added on different career counseling sessions, some things that we didn't initially plan for. We thought, okay, let's lump the training together, let's deliver it. But we also understood that if you need to do it over a length of time. So that model of experimentation and learning from each cycle, that really helped. I think that was sort of fundamental to how we are approaching the development of this project. So we don't have a 5-year plan. We have a big vision in mind, but what we are doing is at every sprint, at every cycle, we are testing a few assumptions. We are, for example, we are blending our learning approach to some online and offline content. So someone sitting in here could approach a lot of young people through Facebook Live or sort of technology platforms like that. So we're testing out some of the things, and after each and every cycle, we are learning something new and sort of either pivoting towards a new model, or we're persevering and keeping things that worked. So I think that has been working well so far. In terms of number, it's been 6 months, so we are present in 3 cities now, with our starting in Khulna. We have a few Amaratu Network graduates in here as well, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. So we have created 9 local circles, 150 change makers as we call them. People graduated out of this platform. So 13 graduates have already joined as facilitators of this session. So we are seeing the next sort of batch of role models being created from these batches as well. So it's not just very much delivered from Dhaka, from a central location, but what we are seeing is people sort of stepping up and taking responsibilities basically in mentoring other people coming in. And we are seeing 20 community projects initiated, and these community projects, they range, cover a diverse sort of topic. For example, one group is really focused on preserving the environment. One group is working on combating sexual harassment. Another group is looking at mental health problem faced by young people in different institutions. So the sort of the degree of solution, I mean, they vary, but people are really going up for the community projects, and we're seeing real change when they're delivering these projects, compared to when they came to us. So in terms of the learning journey, a few points that I wanted to share with the larger group. So one is, I mean, young people require personalized, more one-on-one sort of support. It's not just you design one training package and it works for all. So we have seen that, after session, talks with people, engaging them regularly, that helped a lot. Small but diverse groups created, that really helps. So initially we engaged 30 people, but then we divide them up in 5 or 7 groups of 5 and 7 so that they could effectively deliver on those community projects. And having that group, having a diverse group really helps for that. Again, initially we decided that let's go ahead and lump the training together and then probably we would have more efficiency, but we saw that weekly engagements really builds a pace for young people to follow, and then the retention of the learning materials is also very good. So the weekly sort of check-ins, that really helps. Experiential learning through community projects. So what we saw initially when we asked people to sort of carve out the problem that they want to solve, it radically changes. Like approximately 50% of the problems change direction after they do a stakeholder mapping exercise. They go to communities, they try to understand the problem. So their understanding and appreciation of the problem also changes a lot over the course of the sessions. And periodic touch points really help in terms of keeping people on track and sort of getting that momentum up, because in community project we see sometimes people dropping off, so ensuring that through weekly touchdowns. And quick testing of ideas, something with Tazwar was also mentioning regarding design thinking, how you apply the principles of design thinking, and it could be applied anywhere into your small community projects and bigger issues. So how you prototype solutions, how you test things on the ground. So that sort of skill set has been truly instrumental in delivering these community projects and making young people also feel that they're contributing in a meaningful way. In terms of what's coming ahead, the idea is to scale the network up nationally. Right now we are present in 3 districts of Bangladesh out of 64. We want to be at all 64 districts. We want to create local, sort of a local pool of change makers, mentors who would be willing to support other young people as well, so that they do not always have to look towards the center, look towards larger than life role models. Sometimes it's not very relatable. So creating that network, creating a pool of mentors, and creating basically a platform for change makers so that they could come on board, learn, make changes within their communities going forward. And just a last note, we are not alone in this journey. BRAC has been blessed to have a sort of number of like-minded organizations, partners who came in and supported in different capacities. We have Vishwa Sahitya Kendra, Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center, Moner Bundhu, and Asiatic Marketing Communications, all people who came together to sort of support BRAC in starting this initiative. Now we would like to see how we can take it forward, how we can scale it. Right now we are doing it in Bangladesh, but it could also go outside going forward. So how do you go ahead and do that? So that was it for me. If we have questions from the audience, I can take it from here, or Slido is also there. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have.
So is there any question on the floor? Great. So we have mics around you.
Hello. My question is, how do you have a way to identify the change makers? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't get. If you had explained, I missed that. So could you tell me?
So
Could you?
So how do we?
Identify the change makers.
How do we identify the change makers?
Yeah.
So right now there is a sort of rigorous selection process that we follow in terms of identifying the 30 people to start the network with. So an open call for application goes out, explaining what this network is all about, and then people start applying. Usually we give preference to people who have done, who have had some level of experience before, but we also are mindful that not everyone would have gotten these opportunities. So we also try to ensure that people with enthusiasm to do something and who would actually decide to show up for these weekly sessions on weekends, their weekends. These are university students aged between 18 to 25, so they are mostly full-time students, most of them. So that's the identifying process right now. We depend a lot on word of mouth message to go around. So right now there is an application process that we follow. Yeah. Thank you.
Also, whenever you're asking questions, please start with your name and your organization and the country you're coming from. Okay? Is there any more question?
She had
please
a question. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm Helle Gudmundsen. I work for Save the Children. I originate from Denmark. It was really, really interesting. I'm here with a lot of Save the Children colleagues from different regions, and we work in Asia, we work in Middle East, West Africa, and East Africa, where we have a focus on youth. So I have a very I think your model is really interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit about the financing and if it is sustainable, or would it be something that would be like, your donors' contribution, or is there any way that this one by itself could end up be a sustainable model? Thank you.
Right, thank you. Very relevant question. Our executive director asks these questions to me a lot. Are these initiatives sustainable? So how are you making sure? So in terms of sustainability, two types of sustainability is there to be considered at this point. One is around financial sustainability of that initiative, and the program sustainability, the objectives that you have, how is being passed forward. So in terms of financial sustainability, the easy answer is no, we have not cracked it yet. So there is a small registration fee that is charged to the participants who are coming in, but that does not cover majority of the expenditure that goes behind it. So that's a very small amount. So this would be one of those services where you would not be able to recoup the cost of delivering program directly from the participants. So in terms of monetizing it, in terms of having a revenue structure behind this project, so we have to look elsewhere. So how do we utilize this network better? So I think in terms of financial sustainability, that would be a goal. It would never be self-sustainable based only on the participants contributing. So that's the financial bit. So we're still figuring that out. In terms of taking it further, we would be raising funds for this. We would be aiming to raise funds. And the program sustainability of it, so the idea is after 4 years or 5 years, if BRAC gives the initial push, then can we look at a more decentralized, autonomous alumni network, drive this initiative forward? Can we think of local entrepreneurs setting up these hubs, youth hubs, and they could do a lot of different things with it, not just training, delivery, engaging people, but that could be one model in terms of program sustainability, the objectives that we want to reach, to make it autonomous, to create an alumni network which would potentially run this network by themselves. At the end of the day, it's about creating more opportunities for young people. So if we do it not just directly in that manner, but in some other manner, the network could sustain potentially. So that's another sustainability goal. Thank you. Yeah.
We can only take one final question. And it's up to you to decide.
Oh, I think you raised your hand first. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, yes, ma'am. You. উনি বলছিলেন ওই যে প্রশ্ন ছিল একটা
I just want to ask you that when you start this one, I want my son to participate in this fill up the forms. And there your pilot was only for the Khulla, and my son is in Canada. So he is very much interested in doing this thing, but he cannot participate. So my question is, can we open this for all youth, Bangladeshis or all youth in the world, so that they can have that opportunity to learn?
Right.
Thank you.
Well, interesting proposition. I'd love to open an office in Canada, but not thinking about the physical presence right away. I think how this network would grow in future is we would have more online presence. Right now we're thinking of connecting mentors, facilitators through different technology platforms so that they do not have to be physically present. In future, we could also think about having participants join in a virtual sort of session and connecting with each other for delivering projects. There are examples of people doing it, but problem with that is, I would not say problem, but the issue is it's mostly young people who have access to technology, would have the time and resources to spend behind these things. So that would be a differentiating factor, but this is something we can actively look into. How to make the network more online and not always connected to a very strong physical presence. Thank you.